Hey everyone, this is the Recreate Reality Podcast with Michael and Teresa. Today we are talking Australian Survivor, Brawn vs. Brawn II. We are recapping the whole of this week from episode 16 to 18. For anyone who hasn't watched the show, there are massive spoilers ahead. In today's episode, Logan and Paulie show us the social spiral in two very different ways. Karin draws a line in the sand, but then shats all over it. It's the end of the buddy system on Malosi Tribe and the beginning of Singles Inferno. If you've missed the episode, you can catch all the action on Template. Survivor Australia, Brawn vs. Brawn II, episode 16 to 18 breakdown coming up.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
So, before we start, we just wanted, something caught my eye on social media today. Just want to give a shout out to the Golden God himself, winner of Dondi Season 2 and a newfound millionaire. $5.5 million. Well done, David Jeanette.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, one of the great Survivor players of all time. Gone from strength to strength, and I haven't seen Deal or No Deal.
No, but the trailers actually look really good. I mean, I know that they had Parvati on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think one
Boston
of
Rob was on it last year.
Yeah, and then also the guy from Magic Mike, he's the host as well.
Yes,
yeah.
Joe Manganiello.
Yes.
So I've heard it's a cross between Survivor and Deal or No Deal, something like that. So there's challenges as well as a lot of social maneuvering. I'm keen to see it, and now that David has won it, I'm going to catch up on it. Let us know if you guys are watching it, what you think of it. But yeah, very, very good news to see the Golden God win it.
This could be our new favorite show. I mean, I have seen the trailers, and I know David was actually featured quite a lot in it. I didn't realize he was actually going to win it, so maybe that kind of was a little bit of a prelude to it. But anyway, I mean, now he seems like great on TV. I mean, he's always had a lot of charisma, he's good looking, he's very sociable, and he's also very, very smart. So I think he has all the makings of a great reality star.
He's the perfect reality competition player.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's good at challenges. He's like a young Boston Rob in many ways, but with model looks. He just ticks all the boxes you need to be successful at these games, and so good on him. Can't wait to see it. And to see an Aussie make it in America too.
I think that's
also
very, very
good.
Exciting. It's always very good for Australian television.
Yeah. Hey, I've been reading a book this week.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, I haven't been reading a book.
No, you haven't read it.
I just saw the notes. But this is a very, very famous book. One of the most famous social dynamic books there was. By Dale Carnegie. See, I haven't really read it. I went on the internet and asked for the footnotes, okay? But I found the cover.
Okay, yeah, so what's the name of the book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this, my friends and influential people, is what we're going to be delving into this episode. We're going to use this as a means of understanding the social dynamics of this week. So we're going to see it through the lens of Dale Carnegie, where they went wrong, where they went right. Okay, I haven't read the book. I just looked at the footnotes, okay? But it's very interesting because it was written, in the 70s. And it's an old book, as you can tell, but it covers things that I think are relevant today and to this game about not just society, but work, social interactions, friendships, relationships as a whole.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
And I think especially for people who are trying to maybe progress on career and stuff, we all know it's not really about just smarts or capabilities. It actually very much is your social game
Big
as well.
time.
I mean, I've read that book, when I started my business, and it's an interesting book. I think there's quite a lot of good tips to it. So anyway, back to Survivor. So just a quick recap of what happened. So we're talking about episodes 16 to 18. So we have found out that Laura and Logan were blindsided, and Laura was sent to Jury Villa.
Yep.
In episode 16, there was the tribe swap. There was actually no voting out of anyone. And they had these Baron and Bounty tribes created.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little bit strange, considering
I didn't like it.
we had just came to merge.
We have just gotten to merge, and suddenly we have this nothing burger of an episode where no one goes home. We split up the tribes into just random, pretty much, sides, where one has such a superior advantage of everything: food, sleep, shelter,
Yeah.
as well as the physical advantage in the next day's advantage. It just seemed like an arbitrary gimmick that the game didn't need. I prefer to see social dynamics play out to see who would have gone home, rather than this gimmick at such a late stage. If you're going to implement a tribe swap, let the players determine the tribe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Why do you think they introduced this? Because I think this was something that was quite new. I mean, I've seen on previous seasons where they have had players go to other tribes, okay? So that's common. Albeit in this season, there seems to be more of that than usual. But I think that's because we've had quite a number of players drop out of the game, either due to injury or personal reasons. And also, we've had people been voted to go onto Exile Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer that gimmick than this.
Yeah.
I don't like that either, to be honest. I like pure social game as a purist. I don't know. Maybe, like you said, the medical evacs had something to do with it. PD, Ben, Zen, all these players that have left the game kind of, or not PD, but, left the game a little bit early. Maybe they were left with an extra episode.
Yeah.
They need to stretch out one episode without an elimination. I just didn't like this. I think it put us back a little bit in terms of the gameplay. Where you get excited to see what's going to happen at Tribal, and then it's, guess what? We're not going to do that.
Yeah. It becomes like, what you said, a bit of like a nothing
anticlimactic.
Anticlimactic.
Like, you get ready for a party, and then guess what? No party today, guys.
Yeah.
Michael doesn't like that. So let's get into episode 16 and the backtrack of 15. Okay, so Logan.
Okay, yeah.
Why was Logan targeted, Teresa? Why don't the girls like Logan?
I think it seemed like on the show she was being portrayed as a little bit of a drama queen, maybe a little bit hard to work with because she does get very emotional very quickly, and maybe takes things a bit too personally, and it was kind of like getting a little bit like just too hard to work with, I think. And I think sorry,
rule number 17 from how to deal with friends.
And the main thing, I think she had an idol as well.
Yeah. Rule number 17 from how to win friends and influence people: don't take things personally. She took things very personally, I think, and in the beginning of the episode you see her confronting literally everybody on the island and saying, I thought we were friends, that really hurt, you betrayed me, sort of making it a very emotional situation rather than strategic and gameplay. I thought that this was a real big misstep and that they were just going to vote her out because nobody likes to be made to feel bad about playing the game.
Yeah.
But by the end of the week, she seems to recovered that.
Yeah, she actually has recovered really well. To be honest, I thought that she was just going to go out on a all-out rampage, and like, from what the trailer has said, like she could very likely be like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
but
Karin
she
said
actually
weaponize her.
Yeah, I know. But actually, she didn't. And as we've actually seen, like, okay, she was very upset in the beginning, but eventually she did get over it, and she actually was able to be more strategic, I think, in her gameplay.
And Karin says at the beginning of the episode, she goes, a dejected and volatile Logan. That's the Logan I want. I think Karin makes a misunderstanding as to Logan's personality. Logan isn't a sad sack. And if she is, she's not going to be a sad sack for long. No. She is a strong, proud, prideful woman who is used to getting her way in life and in every situation. She's not going to be in the mopes for long. She's going to recover and she's going to find a way to rise, and she does. And in fact, I think she resents Karin by the end of the week, not for saving her, but making her feel indebted to her and not including her as an equal. I think Karin thought that by saving her, she would be like a Paulie situation and be so spiral that she would just, I'll do anything that you want me to.
Yeah,
my life is yours.
Yeah.
Logan is never going to be anyone's sidekick, okay? Yeah. You have to know that about Logan. She is no one's sidekick. And it's good to see by the end of the week, she puts her trust in others and stops taking things personally and starts to really
and starts to, I think, like, just really play very strategically, which we've seen evidence in the later episode, by the fact that she actually does turn on Karin, which I think is actually great for her game.
Yeah, it's really good. I think she's in a good spot. I thought beginning of the week after Laura was gone, she's donezo's. But it seems like we're chipping away at the duos, and now that her sidekick is gone, her ride or die is gone, you know, the other duo is going to leave her alone a bit for a little bit and chip at each other.
Yeah.
Shall we get to the auction, or do you want to talk about Logan a little bit more?
No. I think we can get to the auction.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, there wasn't really that much on Logan. I did kind of like expect there to be a little bit more, that, you know, I don't think she was gonna likely to stay on the bottom for long. I did think that they would, you know, her character arc might turn and probably, like, you know, take a turn for the positive. So I'm actually glad that that's where, you know, she's going, because I think that that's just a lot more exciting. But okay, on to the auction. What did you think of this new format where you have everyone taking a turn, instead of competing for, like, you know, the actual dish that they want, you know?
Okay.
So everyone has to, like, flip a coin, and then if they guess correctly, they get to pick and see
what's underneath the
cloche.
I hated it. I normally love the auction because it's one of the most exciting points in the game, because, you know, by this time they're hungry, they're depleted, and it's a nice reward. It's fun. It's either flourish or famine, right? Bounty or barren. But the best thing about there was good things and problems about the auction in the past. Okay, the good things I just talked about. The problem was in the past is that people weren't bidding for food, and they would just save their money to get an advantage.
But that was in the American one, right?
Yeah. But I think they have this fear that no one's going to play.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think they implemented this thing. But what I like to see in the auction is a real conflict of interests.
Yeah.
Like, so when there's a group pool of money, and they have to decide between individual interest or group interest.
Yeah,
so,
that one's a good one.
Yeah, so like say there's $500 between you and I. We need to determine, are you going to get to bid 300 or am I going to take all of it and bid 500?
Yeah, and you can see, like, people really just getting disgusted when someone just becomes selfish, and then, you know, it's like, oh, you know, I'm going to take half of the group's, you know, like, money and just
get
that.
You know,
like steak frites.
Or 500, I'm going to use the group's call to phone home because I have a child, I need it more than you. I find that fascinating, you know, when people are like, okay, he needs it more than me. Self-sacrifice, dynamics, and competition, like, you know, how badly do you want
I think
things?
so. When people are, like, outbidding each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, or how badly do you need the advantage? Do you need food or a phone call? That I love to see that. And we didn't get that at all. Instead, everyone was pretty much guaranteed
something. Yeah.
It was just whether it was good or bad.
Whether it was like a gherkin.
Yeah. So I got it here, actually, what everyone got.
Or you know, or a coconut.
Yeah. So as I said, like, it's good when someone gains and someone loses, like any auction. You know, the whole point of an auction is that there has to be a winner and a loser, and there is a cost. Not just that, but there's a real escalation to a bidding war, right? You can bluff someone out. There's a lot of dynamics there. You can make someone overbid to see how much they want it. There's real tactics and strategies. We missed out on all of that.
And I feel like the main thing about the auction is that because, like, people's kind of like true emotions come out. You know, like it's like, oh my god, survive, or like, you know, I really need that nutrition, or I really need that phone call. What am I willing to do to
exactly? What
you
am
know?
I willing to do?
Like, you know, I think it's a great. I think it's always like one of the favorite standout scenes in Survivor.
Yeah.
And I feel like this new format was kind of a bit bland.
Yeah, I didn't like it as much. I hope they go back to the old one next season.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying a lot of new things, I feel, in this season.
Yeah, keep it old school, guys. Keep it pure. So Paulie got a gherkin.
Oh.
And he was unhappy.
He was unhappy. To be honest, I was so surprised that he did not want that phone call.
Yeah. But he was just like, nah, that's okay. I mean, he doesn't have any children. Maybe he doesn't have a partner. So he was just going to call his dad or mum something. So he was like, meh. But, you know, clearly...
Okay, let me ask you. Okay, if you had to choose between a phone call and... Okay, what would your ideal meal be on Survivor? Like, you know...
Steak.
Okay, so steak frites. Okay, if you had to choose between a phone call and steak frites, what would you pick?
Oh... Ask me again in a few months. I'm going to steak. I'm sorry. But if we had children...
Oh, wait. So if we had children, you would choose a call to phone your children, but you wouldn't choose a call to phone me?
Oh, you put me in a tough situation here. No, of course I'd call you, baby. Of course I would. There's no price to a phone call, right? Am I right, guys? Wrong answer. I stuffed it up again. I need to read this book again. I just stuffed up rule 66.
because you just read the ChatGPT summary
Yeah,
of
I
it,
didn't
whereas
read it properly.
I actually read the book, you know.
Okay. Myles got bread. Let's go back to the...
Okay.
I'm getting myself into trouble.
Kaelin got rice. Like, I mean, okay, so this is the part that I'm just like, I'm so amused with Kaelin because
Mr.
don't they already
Optimistic.
get rice?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get rice and
He's
beans and
Mr.
coconut.
Positive. Nothing can ruin this guy's
I
day,
know.
right? Morgan got a coconut. Karin got a meringue pie. Karin.
Zara got steak.
Zara won. Zara won the day. Steak frites.
Yeah,
steak and
steak
chips,
frites,
as we
yeah.
call it in Australia.
Yeah.
Kate got a note and stole Kristen's lasagna.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But she got it late. Like, she got it halfway through.
Yeah, it seems like that.
So they dropped the note, like, a few bids in. So she had to use it pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
Because the way it was edited made it look like there were only 2 or 3 auctions left.
Yeah, because I think it would have been nicer if she had maybe got that, or someone had gotten the note in the very beginning.
Yeah, and then you see what people are getting.
Yeah,
Like, ooh,
I think
ooh.
so.
Yeah. AJ got pizza.
Okay, that's a pretty good one.
Logan got the phone call. And
Yeah.
Paulie got a lot of sulking.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think
Yeah.
he felt really hard done by the fact that, you know, that he only got a go.
This is the beginning of Paulie's sulk arc. Ugh. Okay. Challenge. They go straight to challenge. And Kaelin throws this for sure.
Okay, so you think... Because I think... so this is the one where they had to balance like a paddle with a ball on it.
Yeah.
And then you put one foot on
for sure.
it.
He steps off it and goes, oops.
Yeah, it seemed like... Either it was a mistake or maybe he just wasn't, you know... But I kind of feel like, maybe he doesn't want to... he actually maybe doesn't want to seem like he's a challenge beast.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like later on in the challenge, when Kate and Logan were kind of like battling out, I think he kind of like whispered, "Oh, you know, I don't think that's a. It seems like she's really
too
putting
soon.
herself out there
Yeah, it's
too
too
soon."
soon,
Yeah,
he says.
and also we've seen in like later episode, he's like, "Don't let JLP, don't let anyone know that I'm actually
Which
you know
is
doing
really
well at the puzzle."
interesting.
It's very very interesting.
He's downplaying his physical threat, and we're going to talk about Kaelin's game later on this ep, but it's fascinating that he would do this and is so comfortable to be able to do this. I think later on, he's going to turn it up and just win challenge after challenge when he wants to, like final 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're comfortable enough to throw an individual immunity challenge, I don't think I've seen that before.
I know, and also,
Like, wow.
you know, like no, I'm actually very impressed, yeah.
Yeah. Shows your confidence and your security, not just in the game, but in yourself.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I mean, because especially, well, not just anyone, but I think for men as well, because like men, I think I feel are naturally quite competitive.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, like, you know, most men want to be seen as like an alpha kind
You
of
want
thing.
to
But
display your prowess rather than downplay it most times, or exaggerate it, right?
Yeah. But he just comes across as just someone who loves coconuts and, you know, rice.
We'll get into his game. Fascinating game.
Fascinating game.
And so, we're going to go through episode 16 pretty fast. We get to a Baron and Bounty twist, where one tribe gets everything, goes to a beach with breakfast, da-da-da, the other tribe. They even edit this with color correction and compositing.
Yeah. So it made
color
like
grading, differently.
It made like the Baron tribe look like it was just all dark and dreary, like a completely different island, even though it's the same, probably just different sides of the beach.
It's probably 15 meters away, but they grade this completely differently by desaturating one and colorizing the other, upping the sat.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, that first night it looked really horrible because the Baron tribe, they obviously have no food, no shelter. They pretty much start out on the beach in just pouring rain, and I know how miserable that is because I've been, you know, when I was like 12, we went on like, you know, like a camp, and it was exactly, you know, that how you can't sleep. You're literally just like huddled there under the rain, like, you know, just drenched and cold. You're tired.
Yeah. I wonder who would have gone home had that gone to fruition. I guess we'll never know. So let's get to 17, and that leads us into, you know, because Paulie's having a bad old time here.
Yeah, I think so.
And this leads on to 17, and Paulie is just spiraling. There's no other word for it. We get a montage of him getting torches to the face, of him hearing his name, Paulie, 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 Paulie.
Yeah.
Of people, you know, just treating him like crap. He's not dealing with it well. He's tired. He's hungry. He's hangry. He's really diminishing how to win friends and influence people. rule number 201. Don't get emotional. Don't complain. And these are the mistakes that I think he starts to make. He starts to complain. He gets emotional. And he stops thinking in terms of other people's interests.
Yeah.
And that's one of the principal things in this book is if you're going to talk to other people, talk in terms of their interests.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think, like you said, I think the stuff that he's doing is not winning him any favors.
Yeah.
That said, I do think it's really actually very hard to do all those things when you're... it's easier to do those things when you're actually in a good mood. You're probably, well-fed, like when your mood is stable. But if you've just been put through what he had been put through, where he's just literally at the bottom of the tribe, hungry, wet, cold, tired, it's actually really, really hard. And I know on TV it's like, oh, he should have done this, but none of us actually know what it's like to be on literally you have to survive. And I think
it's tough. It is. But they're all going through a similar thing.
They are.
The way Logan handles this week versus the way Myles and Paulie, such interesting contrasts.
It is, yeah.
Especially, say, Myles. When he's at the bottom, he sees it as an opportunity. He's truly fearless.
Yeah.
And the way he's like, oh, I'm on the bottom again. Great, I love it. This is going to be fun. I'm going to try something different. Whereas I feel like Paulie took things to heart a lot this week.
Yeah.
You could see him upset, emotional, really hurt. And I felt for him.
Yeah.
And I always feel like when you start to take things personally, that's the beginning of a bit of a tough spot to get out of.
Yeah, it probably was time, he went home anyway.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was a little bit surprised that maybe he wasn't able to rise up after he got saved by Myles. I thought, oh, maybe this could actually have been a slightly different journey for him, because he has been on the bottom for so long, but it seems like he just could not get out of the swamp and just kept going, further down and down.
Let's talk about him and AJ. Snake versus snake oil salesman. Because this is a nice contrast, right? AJ, we see in this episode and throughout this week how good he is socially, okay? Back to this book, okay?
AJ probably memorized it.
Yeah, okay, he approaches people in a friendly, harmless manner. You see him constantly flattering the Brawn girls.
He's never cranky. Even when plans don't go his way.
He lets other people feel like the idea is theirs.
Yeah.
So he'll go up to people. He even says, let other people make the suggestion. And they'll make a suggestion and he'll just be like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Let's try that. Yeah, why don't you... I'll back you up. So even though he's the one with the idea or he wants the same idea, he allows other people to get credit. He doesn't give direct orders, he's not bossy, and he makes people happy to do the things that he suggests because he's collaborative. And we see him at work this whole week, and I think AJ's game really contrasts with Paulie's because he isn't taking things personally or anything like that.
He's just having fun, to be honest. I think it just seems like he's just having fun, him and Myles, they're like a pair. To be honest, I'm actually really glad that they came on together because
I think great tandem.
Yeah, both of them, their game definitely is a lot better because there is the two of them.
Oh yeah.
Because they kind of play off each other.
They're like Luke and David, Luke and Jericho.
Yeah.
Kirby and Ferris, these great tandems that we've seen in Australian Survivor. When you put them together, they are deadly. But yeah, AJ, great stuff. So Paulie, let's focus on Paulie because he's the one that goes home.
Yeah, he is the one that goes home.
This episode, right? So he made a lot of mistakes this episode, I think, and that's what led to his downfall, but they were a long time coming.
I think so. I think probably the primarily one he keeps saying is that, oh, I don't want to see my name. Yeah. I don't want my name to be on the vote.
Okay.
And I feel like, I think that's very hard because someone's name has to be on the vote and he's at the bottom. If he hasn't actually volunteered anyone else's name to be on the vote.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's a problem.
He doesn't offer an alternative solution or other avenue or option.
Yeah.
So really what you're saying is, I don't want this. It's like when a friend says, you know, you ask your friend, right? What do you want for dinner? And they say, I don't want chicken. Okay, what do you want? I don't know, but I just don't want chicken. Not helpful, bro. Like, give us some ideas that will lead us to where we want to go. Paulie's a bit like that. You're not giving us anything we can work with. And maybe his dour attitude, his general, you know...
I think it's quite negative, and maybe after a while,
yeah.
like, you know, it can really get you down. Because, I mean, come on, like, I mean, if you have a choice to, like, you know, be with Paulie or with, like, Kaelin, who are you going to pick to, you know, be next to?
He starts to get cracked and almost threatens people when he says, I don't want any votes on me. Very emotional, not rational. And we see a scene with he and Kristen where she goes to him for information, and yet he doesn't disclose any idea as to where the votes are going, even though he's pretty aware. And so that, you know, that reluctance to really open up and work with people to really find a solution. You know, Kristen could have been an ally, should have been an ally. They were on OG Brawn together. They could have really worked together.
But they've never actually worked together.
But they've never worked together,
Yeah.
you know? And we see the similar pattern with he and Noonan, he and Ursula. He
Yeah.
didn't tell Noonan about his idol. He didn't tell Ursula about his strats, and sort of backstabbed them a little bit, voted against them.
Yeah.
Just this pattern of not trusting and not getting trust in return.
But even, like, say with Myles, because, like, Myles kind of, like, saved him. But even I think Myles perhaps can maybe see through him, and it's like, okay, well, you know, yes, I can work with Paulie, but he's just a very expendable number. It's not someone that he can go long term with. He's
not loyal all the way to the end, and he's also not able to get me much socially.
Yeah,
he doesn't unlock other players on the tribe, whereas Kaelin unlocks Kristen and a whole social network. Kate and Morgan unlock each other as well as, you know, Paulie sort of stops as his single vote in many ways.
And just comes across quite petulant, I guess, like a child, the way he just demands that he just does not want to see his name on the vote.
He had real opportunities here to work with a lot of people on the Baron tribe, you know. He was with Kristen, Logan, Kaelin, and Myles. Okay, so that's 5. And they come to him with a plan, like, hey, why don't we work out Myles? And instead of saying yeah and just accepting it, or at least pretending to accept it, he turns around and says to Kaelin and Logan, you just do what you're told. And I thought that was a real moment where...
Yeah,
you know,
where he puts everyone on the spot.
Yeah, there was a real moment there where he could have really collaborated with them to get out Myles, and instead it backfired and he became...
Enemy number one.
And so we get to tribal. Kristen, Paulie, Kaelin, Logan, and Myles are at vote. Everyone, all four girls vote AJ, and AJ vote Myles, but AJ tips off Myles.
Yeah. So what do you make of this relationship? Should we talk about this relationship between them?
Yeah, let's just say that let's finish off Paulie first.
Okay.
And so the funny thing is, everyone wants Myles out, but once again, Myles has an idol.
And he pulls it out, and he's like, well, you have to do so much better to get rid of the king of rats, or the jungle rat. Yeah. And,
you know, he gets rid and end up being 5 on Myles, 3 on Paulie, 2 on Logan, 1 on Kristen.
Yeah. I like what Myles did. Okay, so I think he uses his idol, but he also did try to make a play here for getting Kristen out, because he felt like she couldn't work with him. So he's not just like, you know, at wit's end and just be like, okay, I'm just going to use my idol. He's not actually passive. He's actually takes the offense and be like, okay, you know, let me tell Logan and Paulie that I've got the idol.
Yeah.
And then let's see if we can do, you know, a play and work it in my favor, even if I'm at an disadvantage.
I love it because what he does here is he uses his idol for social capital as a real bargaining chip. So he says to Logan and Paulie, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I don't know if you are. I've got an idol. Vote with me. Unfortunately, they just don't trust him because he's Myles and he hasn't built up the relationship.
Yeah.
The social capital.
Yeah.
So he has the material capital in the idol, but he hasn't got the social capital through true friendship.
Yeah. But out of to be honest, like out of everyone, like his idol play has been on point. Like he has not missed once.
He hasn't missed one shot.
Yeah, he has not missed one. So he's already had 3 idols. The first to get himself out when Max tried to vote him.
Yeah.
The second to take, to steal Kirsten's
Kristen's
idol,
get
to
PD.
save Paulie. To save Paulie, and then the third one to save himself. So he's actually been on point every single time.
Because he has all the information, which is very powerful through AJ and Kaelin.
And you can see everyone is like, where are you finding this idol? Do you have like a 3D
Jungle
printer that, we
This
don't know?
So Logan and Paulie, had they voted the way Myles, the ironic thing is, had they voted the way Myles said, they'd both be safe. And if they'd voted on Kristen, it would have been 3 on Kristen, 5 on Myles. He plays his idol, and Kristen goes home. Unfortunately, I think they just don't trust Myles. Mm-hmm. And they would rather work with Kristen than with each other or Myles.
Well, definitely. I think Paulie probably should have actually worked with Myles. I don't think Logan would have worked with him because I think she's closer to Kristen. So
and after he did that idol play too, where he got Laura out, she's not gonna trust Myles.
I think so.
She's never worked with Myles.
Well, so all in all, I think Paulie, I think it was definitely his time to go. He seemed so much happier on Jury Villa. So if any of you haven't watched that, I suggest you go and watch it.
He glams it up.
Yeah, he really, really glams it up. Had a haircut.
Yeah, he does. So Paulie goes home, a memorable player, but I feel like he never just found his footing. He never was able to get started socially, and I felt bad for him because he could never get momentum or just get his tires into the sand. You know what I mean? Every time he started to get going socially, he got put back. His buddies, his allies, Ursula and Noonan, kept on getting taken away from him, and he got punished a lot. There was something that Karin said, and he goes, "What have I done wrong?" And Karin goes, "Track record, mate." What did you think of that? What is Paulie's track record? What had he done so wrong that everyone just did? Or is it just personality?
It could be personality, I think, but maybe for me, I felt like firstly he kind of like betrayed Noonan. That was probably a big no. I feel I feel like whenever you turn on your buddy, you're someone who you call your ride and die. That's a big thing.
Ride or die.
Ride or die. Yeah, and also I think he's also not very good at pitching. I think because earlier in the episodes, he's trying to pitch himself against AJ and saying that he's actually trustworthy, but we all know he's not. So he's actually saying the wrong things. And then later in the episodes, when he didn't want his name to go on the vote, he wasn't actually able to give another suggestion.
Right.
So I think all in all, it... Yeah. Maybe just a lot of talk, but maybe not that much substance to go off, I guess.
It feels like that.
Yeah.
He just didn't find his place socially, which can happen. We've all been that person, I'm sure, where you just can't find a way to connect with people. They're just not listening to you, and they just weren't hearing our guy.
And they kind of written him off. So maybe it's almost like it's a little bit of like a vicious cycle.
It is, and a self-fulfilling prophecy,
And it doesn't help that, when he's at the bottom, he also still kind of like complains and whinges and stuff. Yeah. So I think there's just a lot of very little little things
that
all add up. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the negativity of Paulie and go to the positivity of Kaelin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I've always thought Kaelin was, was going to, be quite an interesting player.
Like a ray of sunshine. Like a ray of sunshine, Kaelin. What a guy.
The golden child.
Yeah. He's not the golden god.
No. But he's the golden boy.
He's the golden boy. Okay, let's talk about Kaelin for a little bit. So, he plays dumb, but he's involved in all conversations. And this week, we start to see the emergence of him, because we haven't seen much of him.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, we've just seen him hitting coconuts and chopping wood.
And I think he wants to make it seem like all he does is like just chopping coconuts.
Just a pretty boy around camp.
Or like goes fishing, or he's just very happy eating rice.
Yeah, but he is actually socially and strategically very aware. He's hearing everything, and he's involved in every single conversation. Everybody thinks that he is their buddy.
Yeah, and plus the fact that he's actually very good at challenges.
Very good
but
challenges.
his name has not yet once come up. Well, at least the show hasn't made it seem like it's come up yet. Maybe it has, but the show has made it seem like it hasn't.
We even see him playing so bad at a challenge that with JLP, he tells JLP, "Don't tell them I'm good at puzzles." Like, I've never seen this before. Like, he almost, and then he actually go, "Oh, geez, I better win this. They're all watching me."
Yeah,
he even leaves a puzzle piece in the bag.
I think that was accidental. I don't think that was actually. I don't think that was actually intentional.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see JLP. He was just so surprised. He's like, "You actually want me to tell them that you're not doing so well?"
Yeah, he's like, "You're kidding me. You want to lose this?" He's so well insulated. He's diplomatic. Everyone likes him.
And I think that's why he hasn't been perceived as a threat. I think people just think, oh, he's very simple. I mean, even on Jury Villa, because in this episode, Karin actually goes home, and she was like saying she thinks that Kaelin is an idiot because, like, you know, he's like proposing, you know, like that they go to the end together, and all he talks about is coconuts, you know. But the truth is, he's actually been playing a very subtle game.
And he's aligned himself with the two shiftiest, smartest players in AJ and Myles.
Yeah.
He's their third wheel. So he really knows the underlying strategy to everything. He's the one that's actually seeing the whole map, the whole board.
And don't forget, like, you know, there was one, I think in the night, he and AJ had snuck off together and they were like chatting, and Kaelin was telling me, okay, I don't want to be implicated in this vote. I just want to be seen as like ignorant and not knowing what happened. And every time when he speaks too, like say at Tribal with Karin, when she realized that she and Zara were the split vote, so she was asking everyone, who is your vote, you know. She asked Kaelin, and Kaelin is very diplomatic. He says, I've heard both sides of the story and I haven't decided my vote yet, even though he has even though it's clearly going one way, and even though he very clearly wants Karin out,
you can't hate him. I think he might be my pick to win it now. I think he was always a strong contender. I can't see how he can get voted out. I think he will be very good physically. I think the only ones that can beat him in a final tribal are AJ and Myles because of their resumes. But he's a very strong contender if he goes to the finale. Like, it depends how they vote, the jury. If they vote for a strategic player, they'll go for an AJ and Myles. If they want someone they like, they'll go Kaelin. And judging by what Karin said, they may not give it to Kaelin because just people aren't seeing what he's really doing.
I think so, yeah.
You know?
He might be a bit too subtle, maybe.
Maybe too subtle. They think he's a dumbass, but only AJ and Myles are seeing how great he is, and ironically, they're probably going to be the ones against him.
Well, unless if he actually turns on either AJ or Myles, and then in which case one of them will go to jury, maybe both. You know, and then they will actually be able to verify Kaelin's story in that, well, actually he kind of was like, you know, behind the scenes all along. He didn't want you guys to think that, you know, he wants to play ignorant. That's okay.
I hope so. I can't wait to see him get to the end and to hear his pitch.
So a side tangent. Who would you want to be the final three?
AJ, Myles,
and Kaelin.
Okay.
That would be the most exciting
one.
That
would be great, wouldn't it? Just to see those three, because they're the only ones I think that have really played the game. Okay.
Well, who do you think... Okay, so that's who you want. So that's the dream team. But who do you think is actually going to be there?
You go first.
Wait, what are the players left? Hold on, let me see. I think people might take maybe Morgan.
Oh, yeah. She's a bit of a goat sort of thing, Kate is good at challenges.
Kate might get voted out soon because I think the next vote is going to be on her.
Okay.
Just because she's very good at challenges.
Okay.
They might actually take Kaelin, I think, because he's very non-threatening. And the other one, maybe either an AJ or Myles if they can survive, but I feel like they might be targeted soon. Maybe even Logan, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to say final three, I think, is Myles, Logan, Kaelin.
Okay.
I think Myles has to kill AJ or AJ has to kill Myles.
Yeah, so either one of the two, pretty much.
Yeah, I think AJ, Myles, Kaelin, two of the three are going to gang up on the other one and get one out. Okay,
so shall we talk about this frenemy situation between AJ and Myles? Well, we're at it, actually.
let's talk about it, and then we'll come back and talk about the challenge. This is amazing. This is amazing. Myles is showing how not giving an F is the best quality you can have in the game, because if you're fearless, you can really do things in this game, and also it frees you up mentally, emotionally, socially.
Yeah.
To cross boundaries, to do whatever you like. Of course, it makes you chaotic, unpredictable, but it frees you up so much.
Well, to be honest, he actually isn't
playing
that
free.
chaotic. There is actually a strategy to his kind of like chaos.
Yeah.
You know, but like it never has been chaotic. Not like, say, there was a player that was very chaotic recently. I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he's actually been very strategic.
Rome.
Yeah, I think so.
I loved how AJ and Myles were frenemies and colleagues in this. How they were dancing around each other and sort of like, are you going to make a move, or am I going to make... I got something going. You got something going?
Yeah, let's make sure our lines don't cross.
Am I effed up? Yeah, you're effed up, dude. I think my plan's going to go through. Okay, cool. So I just back off? Yeah. It was
They're very cool. They are so cool
It was very respectful.
Yeah.
And almost strategic. Game recognizes game.
And respects it.
And they realize in order for them to go further, they need to work together apart. Because together they are such a visible and ominous threat.
And they will be the next buddy system to get voted out after Kate and Morgan.
And there's only so many idols you can count on. So they really had to split off and seem like they were gunning at each other from different sides of the tribe.
Yeah.
So that they could later come... Similar to Ferris and Kirby.
Yeah.
So that they could come back together. And I love the way they just meet up and like, okay... What's happening? It's on you. Okay, dude. Cool. All right. Who you got? I got this.
So they're just exchanging information?
Exchanging all the information, honest with each other, trustworthy, but working actively, openly against each other.
Yeah,
and not taking it personally.
I think so, because I think most people as a buddy, the last thing you would want is to vote out your buddy. But AJ has, been agreeable to voting out Myles. Myles has also been agreeable to voting out AJ. So that makes them easy to work with.
Yeah. I think it shows how clever they are, because I think at this point they realize also for their individual resumes they need to work apart.
Yeah.
Because right now their games are so overlapped that a lot of the credit they're getting for moves, AJ can say, "Oh, I did that." Myles can say, "I did that with him." It's it's a bit blurry.
Okay, so in that note, on a side tangent, whose game, AJ or Myles, do you think is the stronger one
AJ.
currently?
AJ. I think
AJ?
Myles is getting more credit for it, visibly, but I think AJ is setting up long-term investments.
Right.
Okay? So I feel like if they're both speculators, Myles is the one buying all the properties and everything and is making all these big moves.
Right.
But AJ, is the one that has the long-term... He's actually got the land. You know, he's got the roots, he's got the investments, he's got the long-term strategy through his relationships that I think will protect him. Basically, Kate and Morgan is such a good alliance for him to have. And I don't know if Myles has that. Myles has the greater moves, the greater resume, the idol play, for sure. But he just hasn't got relationships like AJ does.
Yeah, that's true. Because
what do you think?
For me, I would probably say Myles.
Okay.
But I don't actually disagree with you. I guess now in hindsight, thinking about it, I guess maybe just because I feel like Myles, he has more moves that he can actually point to.
Yeah.
That people can applaud and be like, yeah, that's a great move.
Yeah.
You know, like the 3 idol plays. You know, stealing the idol. His story is also better.
At the bottom,
coming from the bottom, going to the king of the rats, coming to the bottom again.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, it's just, for me, I feel those are things that people will be more in awe of. But then again, like, you know, I think AJ has some, you know, like,
it was
like you said, like, you know, great foundations
just
in terms of
seeing
relationships.
them, the way they worked, it was like Jordan and Pippen. It was beautiful. Just like, you know, are you working on something? Yeah, I'm working on something. Have you got, is yours going to come through? Yeah, I think it's going to come through. I don't know. It was great.
And it's like yours is not going to come through, but then they don't kind of like take it personally as well.
Yeah, it wasn't like, say, the way Karin later reacts, like, F you. They are confident and safe with each other enough to have this open relationship. Okay, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Having a safe, open relationship where they can just go off on other projects and dates but know they can come back together and know that they love each other, which I find amazing. This is what it's like. It's truly amazing. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
We haven't seen very much. No, I don't think I've ever seen it. But then I haven't watched like all of Survivor, so this is the first time I'm seeing it. And also, I think they also know that rather than getting rid of each other, the smart thing to do would be to keep the other as a shield as well. Plus, but a shield as a friend.
And they know that the minute one of them goes, the next one's in trouble, right? Fascinating stuff. Anything else you want to talk about the frenemy colleagues, AJ and Myles, before we get to the cranberries?
Okay, so let's go to the cranberries. So we find out that there's a reward challenge, and you have
the knocking over, dominating.
Oh yeah. So this is a really good challenge because I don't think I haven't seen one where you actually have to work in tandem with another person. I've seen one where you just do it by yourself, but this one's a lot more exciting because two people are like laying blocks, and then after you have to create a domino effect. So it takes a lot of teamwork and timing.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's a really good challenge.
Even better than that was that lamb. I love me some lamb.
Well, are we gonna get? You're gonna cook me some lamb this
after
weekend,
that
right?
episode, I was like, I'm gonna make a lamb spit roast for us. Delicious lamb, the best. Australian lamb is the best.
Yeah.
And we see these cranberries, another
alliance.
Another alliance. We've had so many. Now it's the cranberries.
Yeah.
And it's Kaelin, Kirsten, AJ, Logan, the target, Karin. Of course, and I think AJ is really good here. He lets them suggest it, and then he even says to Kristen, like, I know you don't probably feel comfortable with this. Do you want to write another name down other than Karin? You can write down Zara. And so Kristen is actually on a very good side of a split where she can be the swing vote on a 4-3-2. So because she's the fourth vote, she can determine exactly how this vote goes.
And I feel like AJ kind of knows it too, and also it's like rather than telling her, okay, you have to vote either Karin or Zara, I guess he always has this option of like understanding that, okay, Kirsten might feel uncomfortable voting Karin, in which case she can vote Zara. But there's also the option that she could actually turn the vote against him, but he still allows it.
He still allows it. He knows he's confident and comfortable enough in his alliance to empower other people.
Yeah.
Which is
hard because most people would want to be very, very controlling.
Yeah.
I think of the vote. I feel like maybe for Karin as well, she, and I think this is where her game might suck a little bit because she kind of is quite inflexible. We've seen her on a number of occasions get very, very cranky and prickly at AJ because he's changed plans at the last minute. But the truth is, like a lot of times, these things, it's not really just up to one person. A lot of people, can vote differently due to their self-interest.
Exactly. I've got some notes here as to some of the blockages that she ran into over these 3 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, her and Zara, ironically, wanted to work with Kate and Morgan.
To vote out Myles.
And they attempted that, but then they didn't go back to that. Then instead of keeping up this relationship, there seemed to be a block with Karin and a willingness to work with these girls, and instead she targets Kate and Morgan rather than developing that relationship. I thought that was very interesting. Why she didn't cultivate and improve that relationship. Instead, she targets them and Kate and Morgan. And not only that, she makes a big mistake in telling AJ, hey, I'm going to go for Kate.
Well, that was because she didn't want to piss off her alliance, right? And we've seen her do like a couple of times,
to make a move and apologize. She even says, I don't want to piss them off. It's better to make a move and apologize later.
Well, as in the case of AJ, which is how he does it.
Than to tell them beforehand and give them an opportunity to adjust, which is what they do and what pisses her off. Because they're not doing what she wants. She doesn't seem to be able to see what other people's best path is and best interests are. And then was surprised when they didn't want to do what they were told. And
then cause the move stupid or idiotic, which I think is, it's
AJ
a bit of a
always
detriment.
needs Kate and Morgan. Just because you've worked with in the past doesn't mean it hasn't been a smooth relationship. There's always been friction and tension. You've gunned for him, you've called him names. There's no wonder he wants to work with Kate and Morgan where it's a lot smoother, easier, more fluid. And
They're just a lot more charismatic and likable, I think, maybe.
You see this tension with Karin. Like, she talks through her teeth like this.
Oh, very clenched?
Very clenched.
Like, there's, like, her jaw's quite stiff, I think.
I know. Okay, and AJ is getting on my nerves. I think
like, she's always about to, like, blow up.
Yeah, and I think that tension is visceral. It's very tangible. You know? So, Kristen has a real opportunity here.
Yeah. And I actually thought, this could actually be a really good flip in the game, actually.
I know.
So what happens is, I think there was a chance for Kirsten to actually flip and actually put her vote on Zara. Which she was originally going to do anyway.
Is the play.
But then the thing was, she decided to tell Karin so that it's not going to be on Karin, it's actually going to be on Zara.
I know.
And unfortunately, it was not taken very well at all.
No.
Well, fair enough, I guess, but still.
But this is I think Kristen shouldn't have told Karin if she really wanted to save her. Obviously, Karin's reaction, no one saw what she was going to do.
No.
As Kristen said, she shat on it.
Yeah, I don't think even Kirsten is like, what the hell? Like, I didn't tell you just so that you could do this.
All you needed to do was just be quiet and vote Zara. We save you, and then they leave you alone for another couple of votes, as is the case. This is the thing with the duos. You have to be prepared. They're going to chop off each of us duos one at a time.
She I think Karin genuinely seemed so surprised. Like, she thought that she had orchestrated this plan to, like, take out Kate.
And everyone was just going to go with it.
And everyone was just going to go with it because she has been wanting to make a move for ages, and this was her big shot. But, obviously there was a spanner in the works.
Yeah, she has to see that AJ needs Kate and Morgan, at least for a while longer. I think AJ wants to keep Kate and Morgan for as long as he can.
Yeah, he should.
A little bit. I think he's following the George model where he had
Liz and Shani.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
because
so.
He knows that his game is a lot better than
and he has these girls who are very social. They insulate him.
Yeah.
But strategically, they go where he goes. But he has them as a voting block because that was the block that dominated that game.
Yeah.
I think he's following that model.
Okay. Shall we talk about Tribal and the explosion that was?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what happened at Tribal is Karin was very upset, and she made, I think, a big show of saying she wants to pitch a Russian roulette proposition and, calls out Logan, Kaelin, I think Zara, Kirsten as well, like to say, okay, now we can become a majority block of 5. We know that the vote, she actually says what the vote's going to be, which is going to be on her and Zara. So Zara had no idea as well. What did you think about that?
It was cringe, but I see why she did it because it was a last-ditch effort. I admire the hustle, but I think it was the wrong move.
The first thing she did actually before that was she started kind of like calling out Kate and Morgan and say, well, don't you realize that you are now a shield? And it felt actually quite condescending because this is now, instead of a buddy game, this is now a shield game. And it was like, but it always has been a shield game.
It always will be.
Yeah, it always will be.
You've just offended the 2 people who you could have used as a vote.
Yeah, I think the way she said that, it's almost like you girls are stupid. You don't know that you're shields. I was like, no, they're not stupid. They know that they're shields.
They know they're shields, but they know AJ is the biggest shield of all.
Yeah.
They were going to use... Kate and Morgan are very smart. They aligned with themselves with Nash early game, knowing that he would be a big, visible, social shield for them. He went, and then they found AJ. They found Jesse.
Jesse, yeah.
And then they found AJ. They found
big strong men
who are a little bit, naive that they can manipulate. They're very clever. Okay, I thought the tactic of Karin would have been to announce to the entire, because I think she could have had Kate and Morgan. I thought she was going to say to everyone, hey guys, I know you're splitting on me. If there's a target that we should be going for, it's right over there.
Yeah, I think
Myles.
So. Or AJ.
Or AJ.
Yeah.
But you make it loud, you make it determined, and you include Kate and Morgan in on that. Because then you only need 5 people to vote. You have you, Kirsten, Logan, Zara. That's 4. You just need one more person to write down AJ and Myles, and you may have this.
Yeah.
Instead, she excludes Kate and Morgan from that, and so then you have only Myles, Kaelin, and AJ who are never going to vote that way.
Yeah, and also I think it's also like calling people out to go into a group, putting them on the spot, and then it was a little bit weird.
I think the move, better than calling everyone out at Russian roulette, would have been pre-tribal, because she knows there's a split, 4-3-2 on her, right? 4 on her, 3 on Zara, 2 doesn't matter on Kate. Instead, what she could have done is talk to Kate and Morgan pre-tribal, gotten them to flip their votes, say, hey, this is a chance for us to do a move that we can get credit for. Get out Myles. You have those 2. Then you still have your 3 of Logan, Zara, Kristen, and herself, and you can do it. You know, and you leave out AJ and Myles. But she kept on telling AJ her moves. You know what I mean? And so she was very predictable in the way she moved. I just think there were other ways that she could have made this happen.
Do you think? Because maybe...
Well, just one vote ago, one tribal ago, everyone dumped on Myles.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like because
you revisit that idea. You say...
You can, but I sometimes feel like when there has been a vote that has actually gone wrong, people just actually go off it.
That's
and it's
true.
like, okay, that's a mistake. Let's not go there again.
We see that.
You know,
People get gun shy. Once they miss, they get gun shy.
Yeah.
And they don't want to attempt again for a couple of votes. That's true. That happens on the traders as well as Survivor.
Yeah, because it's almost like, oh my God, I look stupid here. You know, I'm embarrassed that I voted wrongly. Yeah. You know, I need to like go away from that and retarget someone else.
Unless you're Simon and you just keep on going for George time after time. But the problem... Okay, so shall we talk about her game? Keep on talking about her game. So she goes home, but I think she made a lot of mistakes, okay? In terms of... She wanted to blindside people, but tell them at the same time.
Yeah.
So she tells AJ, and that was her biggest mistake, wanting to blindside Kate and Morgan, but telling AJ, wanting to work with Logan and Laura, but telling Logan at the same time, but voting on Laura.
Okay, so the thing I think with AJ is, you know, like how you said, okay, she told AJ to blindside Kate and Morgan. Firstly, I don't think maybe she really understood the connection that they have. And maybe for us it's very apparent because we're watching it on TV. We've seen all the chats they have. Maybe she doesn't see that. But also I noticed with Karin, she kind of is a bit incapable of seeing like how other people's alliances benefit them.
Yes.
She kind of sees it from her own perspective only.
Yes.
And if someone else has an opinion that's very contrary to it, like say, like why would she would think, like say, why would AJ want to protect Kate? Like, you know, the logical, clever, smart thing to do would be to vote out Kate because she's a challenge threat.
Yeah.
But you know, but if anyone differs from that, it's like a stupid thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think she kind of like thinks in terms of like smart and stupid. I mean, she's like a doctor, so you know, like there's always, you know, she's always going to be in the, you know, like in the smarter echelon of society.
And she's a graduate.
Yeah, and also, so for her, yeah, it would be stupid to keep Kate, but that's for her, but it's not actually stupid for other people.
Exactly. She didn't see other people's paths forward and use that to her benefit.
Yeah.
The other flaw in her game that I just wanted to touch on, I think I mentioned it before, is that she didn't commit either way. And in two most glaring examples, she could have gotten AJ out a couple of votes ago with the Logan Laura idol play.
Yeah.
But instead, she tips Logan about the idol, and then she still votes against Logan Laura, and so Laura goes home. Whereas if she flipped her vote to AJ, it's 3 on AJ goes home, and we see this again in this vote where instead of committing and writing down Myles, she actually writes down Zara.
Oh, okay, so that was just for me. That was just strange because she's made this big show of like, oh, I'm telling my ride or die. I'm never gonna write down her name.
That sucks.
And then after that, at the last minute, I was like, wait, hold on. Why is she like, you know, like thinking about who to write? And then she writes down Zara. It's like, well, what's the whole point of that whole show?
It was a show, and it shows her unwillingness to commit and a fearful game. Because you can't get things done in this game unless you commit 100%. and if you don't put the vote behind it. So really, she was saying all this stuff, but you wouldn't have gotten anything done because you've told everyone on your tribe to vote one way and then you vote the other way. So you've really diluted the voting power of both ways. So instead of at least going out guns blazing like you thought you were, you really went out with a bit of a fizzle.
I think so. I think maybe...
So she's saying, oh, I went out blazing, himself burning. You went out a little bit soft, I thought.
Yeah, I think maybe for me the thing was I admire the fact that she tried to make a play or put a proposition, not the right one. Okay, that's okay. But in the end, to be honest, like she wrote Zara's name.
No, I didn't like how you did that.
I don't think that was actually necessary. I mean, I get it. It was a last ditch survival instinct.
But then she should have stuck with that in the first place and just shut up. Not
And-
said
and
anything,
just- yeah,
and just
and
wrote
just-
down Zara.
And that would actually have been a better
That would have been a better play. You would have been okay. But again, we see her drawing a line in the sand and standing on both sides.
Yeah.
So she talks about ride or die. She talks about drawing a line in the sand, and yet she can't commit to either plan. And we see this time after time. And that was ultimately, I think, the deficit of her game and why she
Yeah, because I think even to the extent, like say, Kristen really wanted to work with Karin because like they trust each other, but I think Karin just blew up her game, not only her game but Kirsten's game so
Yeah,
much.
that was
you know,
a great move.
it put Kirsten on the spot.
It did.
You know, because there was a moment during tribal when I thought, oh my god, what if they switched their votes to Kirsten? She could have actually been in the firing line.
I know.
You know, so.
Kristen must be very pissed now because Kristen had an opportunity to make a great move.
Yeah.
Blindside the whole tribe, send home Zara, get Karin closer to her, piss off the tribe, but still have a resume. And instead now Kristen becomes a target.
Yeah, so I think Karin not only
It's
blew
tough.
up her game, but she actually also blew up Kirsten's game.
And she talked about it in tribal, in Jury Villa, saying,
Yeah.
I blew up everyone's game. You didn't blow up the people's games that you thought you blew up. You blew up your allies. You blew up Logan's. You blew up Zara's. You blew up Kirsten's. And actually, your enemies, AJ, Myles, Kate Morgan, are okay. Okay. You know what was funny? Did you catch Logan afterwards saying, my plan?
Ah, yeah, that was interesting. So Logan actually thinks that the plan to blindside Karin was hers.
Which tells me that AJ is validating her. Because AJ didn't say like, no, it wasn't you. He's like, yeah, whatever. Which is great. Which is great, right? Because that's okay.
That's okay for him, yeah, of course, yeah. Let
It's
them
too
think.
early to build resumes.
Yeah.
It's too early. Wait till you get to the end first, then you can talk
Yeah.
about who did what.
Yeah, if she's in the final three, sure, but now there's still like, what,
It's
8
too
of
early.
them.
But she's already starting to say, my plan, my plan. And it does look like, I can see why AJ could have sold it to her as being her plan because Karin saved her.
Yeah.
So now it looks like you blindsided her because, well, she did come up with a plan, to be fair, at the Cranberries dinner because AJ let her suggest it first.
Yeah.
So it really is her plan, but the edit made it look like AJ was putting together the strategy.
Yeah,
so
and I
yeah,
think
it was
even,
her plan.
Yeah, I think to be honest, a few people, like say, I mean, even Kaelin, anyone who has wanted Karin out can say it's their plan.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think Logan will probably claim it, but AJ is the one that actually ran around putting the numbers together. You know, so yeah, Logan was the president, but AJ was the
He's
hustler.
the CFO. He controls
Yeah.
the money. Like,
He's Elon.
I mean, like, you can make the decisions, but, nothing gets done without the money.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna finish off talking about the glam walk of these glamorous jury people.
So I
They
think,
look fabulous.
Yeah, they look fabulous. I mean, like, Paulie looks great.
Oh, he looks-
Laura looks great.
look-
Yeah, it's amazing what like a few nights of like food and like rest, a shower
Stylist
can do.
can do for
I've
you.
always really enjoyed it. And
False bronze.
Yeah, I
false
think so.
bronze,
And
yeah.
I've always felt like with US Survivor, it's a shame that they don't have that.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. The before after thing, who doesn't like a glow up? Let's get back to the glow ups. I love a glow up jury walk.
Okay.
Are we done?
Yeah, so I think, guys,
Oh.
this is a wrap up. And we just want to say thank you so much for
Yeah.
listening to the show. This is the Recreate Reality podcast by Michael and Teresa. You can find us on Recreate on TikTok and Instagram. That's WRECK.CREATE, where you can watch funny short clips of what we've talked about. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe to our pod. It really helps us a big deal, and we are extremely grateful for any support you give. We'll be back shortly with next week's episodes, so stay tuned. Bye.
See you guys. Thank you.